my name is Chloe and welcome back or welcome to my channel, Read with Chloe. I have been seeing over the last few days so many people uploading their videos for the mid-year book freakout tag challenge, and I thought, well, I want to do that. I was initially going to wait until the end of June to do it, to make it like the mid-year, but like the hype is just making me want to do it so bad, and I've already answered the questions a couple of days ago. I have a few more books I'll be reading before the end of this month. I'm hoping that won't change any of my answers. I don't think it will, but if it does, I'll update the description with alternative answers to each of the questions if there are any by the end of June. I have a little pile of physical books here so far for answering the questions, and any of the ones that I don't own, hopefully I've learned how to edit the video and I'll have a nice little picture here of the book cover. So without further ado, I'll start going through my answers to the mid-year book freakout tag challenge, and this is essentially just questions about books for the first 6 months of the year and my answers to them. So the first one is the best book that I have read so far this year. If you watched my last video, I'm sure it will come as no surprise that one of the possible answers to this is The Bell Jar. The other one is Babel. So I can't decide between these two, and they are both very different books. Babel is a dark academia, fantasy, historical fiction book, and this one is just straight up depressing literary fiction. Both of the books made me cry, so they share that in common. For this though, I am going to choose The Bell Jar, because I need to choose one. I feel like I need to pick one. And Babel work. These two kind of are interchangeable for one of them, so this I will assign as my favourite book so far this year. It is a wonderful rendition on depression, which I know, very depressing. The metaphors within the book are insane. I have tabbed so much. I've gone back to it to read it. It was just a very beautiful book, and everyone that I've recommended it to has also enjoyed it. So that just feels amazing. I love giving book recommendations to people and them enjoying it, especially a book that means so much to me and my heart. I could talk all day about The Bell Jar, but I'm not going to. I'm going to move on to the next one so that I don't talk your ear off about this book. Next one is the best sequel that I've read so far this year. I've read like no series this year. I've been reading standalone books, and I don't know if it's just because it's so much commitment to read a series, but I think the only series I've read so far, and it's technically not a full series, was I read The Queen of Nothing at the start of this year. So that's the third one in the Folk of Air trilogy. Put a little picture up here. I really enjoyed this trilogy overall. I did read part of it at the end of 2022, and I finished it at the start of 2023, so technically it ended up counting towards my book count for this year. I've not read sequels, so it's hard to pick anything, but that would, I guess, would be it. It was a very good ending to the trilogy. If you've not read the Folk of Air trilogy, and you either like fantasy or you haven't explored the genre yet, then I would recommend it. It's very easy, short books. So the books for fantasy are normally really long and a lot of world building. This is not quite as world building dense, and each of the books is only, I think, around like 350 pages, so it's super accessible, and it's YA, so it's not too complicated, and yeah, it's very easy for people to dip their toes into the fantasy genre. And there is real enemies to lovers, which is, I think, my favourite part about it. So many enemies to lovers books, the enemies aren't like enemies, they're just kind of like, oh, don't really like you for some nondescript reason, but these people are like enemies. It's so good. Yeah, I do have a list here of the questions. I don't have them memorised in my head, so I will be looking over here for the list. The next one is a new release that I haven't read yet, but I want to. I don't own the book yet, but it's Fourth Wing. I feel like that's obvious. Everyone has read it except me. I've seen so much about it. It's dragons. It's a pretty book about dragons. I don't need to know anything else about that book other than it looks good and it has dragons in it. I can't wait to read it. I cannot wait. The next one is the most anticipated release for the second half of the year. Obviously, I don't own that book because it's not released yet, and that is The Temple of Fortuna, and I've got that little here. That's by L.D. Harper. I've read The Wolf Den and this pretty book here as well, The House with the Golden Door. Let me just... Amazing. I absolutely love it. It's what has made me get super into mythology and historical fiction. I read The Wolf Den, I think like 2 years ago, and then I got this when it came out last year and absolutely adored it. So I'm very excited to continue that series, and that will probably end up replacing for my favourite sequel, most likely. But that won't be until, I think it's November that's released. I actually need to pre-order that. That's my little mental reminder to pre-order that book. The next one is my biggest disappointment. This wasn't my lowest rated book. I kind of like saw this question as out of what I expected to rate it versus what I did rate it. What's the biggest discrepancy? And for me, that is The Silent Patient. It's not that I didn't like the book. I said in my last video this was a 3-star, but I did go in expecting it to be like a 4.5 to 5-star. My least favourite book so far this year has been The Love Hypothesis. That was a 2-star, but I kind of expected it to be like a 2-star, so technically it wasn't a disappointment. It was just I didn't enjoy it. So this would technically be my biggest disappointment. It's not a bad book, I expected more, you know, I expected more. The next one is my biggest surprise, and that is Happy Place by Emily Henry. I've never read an Emily Henry book, so I didn't really know what to expect, but I have read quite a few romance books, especially recently, and I don't think I've ever rated a romance book more than 3 stars. This was a 4-star read for me. 4 stars for just straight up romance book is like unheard of for me, so that means it's like really good. I expected a 3-star. I know that Emily Henry is ranted and raved about, and she's really popular, especially among people who really enjoy romance. So I knew that as a romance book goes, I would probably like it. Like it wouldn't be a 2-star read. I thought it would be like 3. But this was 4 stars. Like I really enjoyed it. I was hooked. I did also read it when I was unwell. So it was like so comfy and the perfect kind of mood for me to start feeling a bit better. Plus it's super pretty, we love that. It has made me want to pick up some more Emily Henry books, and if you have any recommendations for Emily Henry books, please do let me know below in the comments. I will definitely read at least one more of her books, and if I enjoy that I'll probably read all of them, but I don't want to get all of them to read in case this is just a fluke book that I enjoy. But this is super exciting if I found a romance author that I actually actively enjoy and not just like, oh yeah, that's okay. So yay, my biggest surprise so far this year. The next one is my favourite new debut or new to me author. I don't know if I've read any debut authors this year, but R.F. Kuang is the author of Babel, and I absolutely adored that book. I loved the writing style, the world building, the characters, how much it rips my heart out, and now I want to go and buy all of her books and binge read them all. So she's probably my new favourite author. The next one is my newest fictional crush, and spoiler alert, he isn't from any romance book. He is actually from a fantasy book, The Atlas Six. I'll pause for a second here for anyone who's read it to try and take a guess as to who it is. It is Nico de Verona. I don't have a new fictional crush this year, I would say, but he's the closest thing to it. He is super caring. He's really good to his friends, especially his best friend. He's very intelligent, he's super powerful. He's just an all-round pretty interesting guy. He's a little bit immature and childish at points, which sometimes is like endearing and a really great quality to have, but he does kind of have that in serious situations also, which would be a little bit of a red flag. But overall, he's probably the most likely person I would be to have a crush on out of all the guys I've read and the books that I've read so far this year. a lot of the books I have read have been like quite sad books. So I guess none of them have been that attracting. So it would need to be him, since he's intelligent, powerful, and just a really good friend. The next one is my newest favourite character, and that was a super easy one to answer. That is Elizabeth Zott from Lessons in Chemistry. She is just amazing. She is a chemist from the 1950s who is in obviously a very male-dominated field, who's pushing to try and be heard. She's faced a lot of like obstacles, obviously, as being a woman, especially she's an attractive woman in science. So people look down upon her and don't take her very seriously, but she strives to make sure that she's taken seriously, that her science is taken seriously. And when she is filming her cooking show, she also takes that really seriously and empowers women around America to also start taking themselves seriously, to not just like bend over and listen to men, that women have a voice, we're intelligent and we're strong. And I feel like it was just a great character and a great message in a book. And yeah, what's not to love about her, to be honest. The next one is a book that made me cry. If you remember at the start, I'd mentioned The Bell Jar and Babel, so I'm going to put Babel for this one. Both of them made me cry, but Babel made me like, not at the end of the book. So I finished Bell Jar, and then because of what happened to Sylvia Plath after reading that book, I just like cried and I was like emotionally broken. But during Babel, like not at the end, it made me cry. And it made me cry on like I think 2 separate occasions actually. Like it was heart-wrenching. It was horribly amazing. I love books that make me cry. Now we're going to do a little 180 and a book that made me happy, and that is It Happened One Summer. I've just finished this book. It's my most recent read, but it was so cute. Oh, it was like so cute and wholesome, and I didn't know if I would like this book or not, because it's like, oh, super grumpy manly man, and oh, ditzy girl that likes to party. Like from the kind of like synopsis, I was just like, oh, this just kind of seems a bit like not my cup of tea. But their relationship is so adorable. They're like so cute and they bring out the best in each other, and they, you know, like bum each other up and make each other feel good about themselves. And yeah, go on like a journey of, especially Piper, the girl, she goes for a journey of self-discovery. And we've got the grumpy fisherman Brendan, and he is so sweet with Piper. He sees through her party girl exterior and looks where no one else has so far other than her sister, and sees her admirable, amazing qualities that she has, like being caring, being resourceful, just being an all-round good person. So it was nice for them to go through that together. The next one is the most beautiful book that I have received or bought, and that is Gallant. I bought this on a trip down to London from Forbidden Planet there. I think it's the biggest Forbidden Planet in the UK or something. I went there with my friends and I saw this book. Look at that. Like... and I'll show you it without its cover also, which is super pretty. So it's got like a little house there, and then it's also got in here very pretty art, plus an extra added bonus, it is signed. So what more is there? The dust cover is pretty, it naked is pretty, it's got sprayed edges, and it's signed. Like, what more could I want from a book? It is so stunning. I'm so glad that I picked that up while I was down in London. The last one is books that I need to read by the end of the year. Everything from my 23 and 2023 video. There are 14 books I haven't read so far from that. Actually 13 technically, because I'm halfway through Book of Night currently. So I've got a big list of books from that I need to read. Off the top of my head, I have Parallel Worlds, which is a non-fiction book, 21 Lessons for the 21st Century, also non-fiction, The Brain, also non-fiction. For fiction, I need to read The Song of Achilles, All the Light We Cannot See, The Nightingale. I know there's quite a few more, but I'm not going to go and rattle them all off. But I've got a lot. I have a lot of books that I need to read before the end of this year. Probably an insurmountable amount. But we're going to try. We are going to try here. Well, thank you for tuning in to my book freakout tag video. Hopefully none of these answers change before the end of June, but knowing my luck, they will. Thank you. Bye.